Good morning, everyone. My name's Jeff Bruner, and I, along with my colleagues, want to welcome you and thank you for joining us for another Taco Tuesday. This series, of course, is held the first Tuesday of every month, and it's an opportunity to connect with our vendor partners and to put them in front of you to show you some of the things that they're excited to share. As always, this webinar is being recorded, and then it'll be shared out in segments to allow all of our members to learn about products and services that are of most interest to them in 15-minute bites, little taco bites. So the links for the different segments from today's session will be shared with everybody who registered, and they'll be posted on the WILS website in several places so that folks can easily find it. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have three folks presenting for us today. Here on the screen, I've got the schedule for today's presentations. We've got Rick White from Mergent, and then Rolla from Mergent. I'm going to let her correct me on her name pronunciation to make sure I've got that right. And then coming up at noon, Pam Sessoms will be joining us from Library Help. So without any further ado, I think it's time to pass the torch over to Rick. So Rick, I am going to stop sharing my screen so that you can start sharing yours, and then we'll be ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. Let's get me set up here. Share. Uh-oh. Still here, despite what you think there. All right, so I am actually on the landing page for D&B Hoovers, which is actually a product that's presented by Mergent. So Mergent brings this into the public library space and the academic space, so you don't get this directly through Dun & Bradstreet. I'm going to flash up my piece here to show you my little cover piece, so you can capture my email. I'll put this up at the end along with my phone number if you have any questions following this. What I want to share with you today is what makes this particular platform really unique. Several years ago, at a group called Invention, some data engineers got together and started looking at not how people have been searching, and you'll see it hundreds of, well, not hundreds of years, but going back 100 years plus, the way that we looked up business information would be in a printed directory. And you'd see that information, you'd have to know some starting point, the company name, location you were looking at, what the business did, or maybe the size of the business. And those folded into becoming something on a floppy disk for those of us who remember a floppy disk, to CD-ROMs, to DVDs, to now being something that you see online. And that style of working with structured data has been how you worked with a business database. So what these engineers were looking at is how people were starting to, and already searching, and when I say people, I'm talking about the generations coming up behind us. And they would go out and open up, and I promised they wouldn't swear in front of mixed company, but they would use Google. And somebody would go in and they'd see that open frame, they'd drop in what it was they were searching for and get back a flood of results. So what these engineers said, what if we could take that same kind of search strategy and put that into a business environment? So all that you're seeing are results specific to business. So it allows users to come in and use natural language to begin a search. So that's what I want to show you today, is this conversion to be able to use unstructured data. Now you can still apply structured data, you can still use the database in a fashion that you're doing just structured searching, but this is what makes this unique, is the unstructured data search. So from the landing page, and the way that you access this is typically how you're getting a database through a library, right? You're coming in, you're going to the library's database pages, you're selecting out the link to D&B Hoovers, you're being IP authenticated and sent to this page. As you can see, it's very straightforward. I can search by build a company, find contacts, research industries, and so on. But we're going to, again, focus on looking at that unstructured data. And we call it conceptual search. So that's the first term you want to recognize in here. But before I go further, what I want to show you is how, if you were using a standard business database, you might tackle this type of search. And I'm going to put in virtual assistant. So what I'm looking for as a researcher here is Alexa and Siri, and Echo, all of the different virtual assistant tools that are out there. And if you go in to do this search in a standard database, where would you start with something like that? If you use Google, you're going to get back millions of results. And we're going to see in like less than 10 minutes how we can get the information that might take 10 hours to get to if you're using kind of traditional tools. So virtual assistant in a standard database shows me 533 results. And what you'll notice right away that there's a very common theme in here. They all have virtual assistant in the title, but nowhere near what we're looking for when we're looking for information about virtual assistant companies. I'm going to switch this back to conceptual search. And where this is really valuable, again, if people don't understand industry codes and don't know where to start, or if what they're looking for is, it covers a lot of different industry codes. Think of green energy, self-driving vehicles. Think of things that the technologies are outpacing industry codes, like molten salt reactors. It just keeps people very current. And what we're looking for is all of the companies we can find, and we touch about 1 billion websites when we push that button to go, and we're looking for companies that are engaged around the conversation, in this case, virtual assistant. And our list shows us right away the type of companies we would expect. There's Apple, there's IBM, you'll see Google represented by Alphabet, Microsoft. But what sticks out here is something like Bank of America. So there's sort of an outlier on this list, and I'm going to show you how we connect them. This little eyepiece here gives you an overview of the data we have about the company. So it's kind of a quick view. And down here where it says related articles, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different articles that connect to the virtual assistant tool. So news pieces about the virtual assistant tool that Bank of America has called Erica. So that's how we're bringing them into the conversation. And the idea here is your users get a lot of information brought in, and then the ability to go in and filter that. So the edit button just takes us back to our list. We can come in here and add location information, where we can be as specific as a street address, or in this case, I'm going to say just make it a international region. We'll pick North America. So we have that in place. Then I'm going to come down to the next piece of unstructured data. So the conceptual search is, let me use natural language to search. Business Signal says, show me some predictive indicators. Can you show me, of that list of 257 companies, which ones are opening new facilities or their workforce is decreasing? Specifically here, I want to look at operations and say, which ones are doing product launches? And you'll see my results change. So now I'm down to 158 companies that match, again, they're North America, they're working in virtual assistant, and they've done a product launch recently. We can take a list like this. If I wanted to go even deeper and figure out who might be a good contact at one of those companies, by clicking on the link up above, I changed it from company to people, and I'm now seeing 1/3 people that are associated with 147 companies that are doing what we're looking for. And we can take a list like this and narrow this down even more. So you see contact type. I can say what level within the company. I'm going to pick VPs and senior VPs. We can look for people by specific title, or if I open up additional fields, I'm going to go into functional groups. So which department are we looking for? In this case, it'd be engineering and development. And I've got 1,500 people to choose from. I'm going to add one more little filter here under company type, and we'll put in international business. In other words, I'm looking for someone that's actually at IBM. So in that list of 1,500 people, I've got 157 people at IBM. I open this up, and then I've got this roster that I can choose from. And all of them, again, are working in engineering and development. We know what IBM's up to in terms of looking at virtual assistant, so we can connect through and contact those folks. in a business profile, there's a lot of rich detail, and obviously in the time we have, we're not going to be able to cover everything. But to give you an idea, you get the contact coordinates for the business, some high-level information about sales, the number of employees, there's a corporate family tree, there's a link to more detail about the industry they're in that's going to include market research reports, analyst reports, everything down the left-hand side. I'm using my hands like you can see this, right? Everything down the left-hand side are all reports and detail associated with this company. A user can come in if they're interested in IBM and create what we call a one-stop report, and that's the ability to design a report based on all that information with specifically what they're looking for. So I can take company summary, SWOT report, and if I scroll down, there's annual ratios. Put those in place, click done, and you can load this up with as much data as you want. And I'll show you what one of those looks like. Puts a title page on there. It's got a date, so you have an understanding of when you did the report. And then there's that detail for you. So the summary information, the ratios, and the SWOT reports are all there for you. So a lot of detail packed in here. You can see we link you back to more contacts. There's actually a third piece of the unstructured data we work with called triggers, which goes out and looks to see what happened with that predictive indicator. So it's sort of like the, you've got the forecast with the predictive indicators, and then what happened inside triggers, where we can loop back around and recognize information about, again, virtual assistants with IBM and news stories that relate and tie that all together. So it might seem overwhelming at this point. We've designed this to be really simple for people to approach. There is a lot of help available, whether you're contacting Mergent directly, whether you're contacting me at my email or my phone number. And there's also a link embedded here that any user can go in, and I would recommend the live chat, that's going to put you directly in contact with someone at Dun & Bradstreet who can answer search questions or any type of technical questions that you come across on things. So that's a good spot. I actually have a timer running here, so I'm about at that time. Jeff, if there's any questions that we want to cover, I'm going to throw my contact screen back up again, and I'm open now for any questions that anybody has.
Rick, I haven't seen any questions come into the chat or into the little Q&A interface, although I didn't point that out. Attendees, hopefully you have access to, there's a little place where you can type in a question, or feel free to drop any questions you might have into the chat box if you can get that too. We don't have any just yet, although if we do have, some roll in, I'll be sure to ping you with those as well, Rick. Thank you so much for showing us that. I'm actually really impressed with that, the interface, and that's that kind of business data stuff is, I have to confess, even as a librarian, I find that kind of intimidating sometimes to dig into trying to find that information, but it looks like the interface you guys have come up with is really easy and could make that that task a lot easier.
Thank you, Jeff. And again, the idea is to make it really approachable, easy to navigate. But if you get in and you're curious on how things work, there's lots of support lines out there. And if you want to take a look at it, drop me a line, give me a call, and we can certainly go in a little more depth of what's all involved with this.
That's great. Cool. Well, as I said, if we see any other questions come in, we'll make sure we give you a chance to answer those as well. So I think we could transition over to our next speaker. So I'm going to share my screen again to put our, oh, there we go. We've got, I think, Rolla taking the screen share. So Rolla, I'm going to introduce you by first name because I'm terrible about last names. I want to make sure I don't get it wrong. We've got Rolla here from Mergent, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself too.
Sure. Thank you, Jeff. So as Jeff mentioned, my name is Rolla, and I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Mergent. My goal today is to be as informative as possible, given the time that we have together. And today I'm going to talk about Mergent Intellect, which is a business and consumer database that features a collection of global business information for private and public sectors. So this is going to be very industry focused. You know, Rick did talk about, you know, specific companies. This is really going to be industry focused. So as you can see here, this is the landing page for Mergent Intellect. And if you scroll down, you're going to notice 9 modules. Now, these modules are truly a one-stop shop for students and patrons to access data that meet their specific needs. So what I personally find most interesting about this database is that you can find useful information and data on multinational corporations all the way down to your small mom and pop shops right around your corner. The module that I'm going to focus on today, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth, is the first research module. And I personally used this module in my past working for one of the world's largest financial institutions. So I found this very helpful when I was looking at prospects in particular industries, or even, you know, current clients, if you will. So let's say I'm going to meet with a client in the medical labs industry. I'm going to put it right into the browser, and then I'm going to grab the best match that I want to look into. So I'm just going to grab the first one. And bear with me here, my computer is a little slower than I'd like. And then once you click on, you know, the submit, you're going to receive this profile overview. Now, this is truly what I personally love about this database. It's a one-stop shop of everything you need right here on this page. You can, on the top right-hand corner, you'll notice where it says full profile. This will give you an expandable view of the content that's in the middle of the page and eliminate these snaps on the side. On the left-hand side, and over here on the left-hand side, you're going to notice these tools that can be actionable, by quickly pulling up call prep sheets, signing up for quarterly industry alerts, printing the industry view in a print-friendly version, and then building your own PDF, building your own customizable PDF version. So if I click on this PDF version, I can take sections from this profile and produce and download a PDF of just the specific sections that I'm looking for. Now down, I'm going to go back to the page. So this is the front page. Now, one thing that I do want to point out is that the industry profiles are updated continuously with real-time news and social information. So if you notice down here, this is where you're going to find, relevant information as of today of, things that are related to the COVID-19, diseases before it's too late in the medical lab industry. And you can click here to receive alerts as well. So you don't have to go into this database. You can just receive alerts right to your inbox. On the right-hand side, this is going to be, really nice for students. It's very intuitive, where they can find tweets on the most relevant information. So you have, 6 hours ago, somebody tweeted about, computed, I can't even enunciate that word, some type of imaging, and healthcare costs, imaging down here. So you can really click on here, and this is all powered by First Drain. If we scroll over to the left-hand side, so this is going to give you the chapters, if you will, of of the industry. So if you click on news and social, it's going to give you an in-depth and provide you a view of all of the news and social information. Same thing with the quarterly industry updates, industry forecast. So that's going to show you, right, how, you know, you look at the industry and give you a bird's eye view of what the industry is going to look like ahead of time, right? It's forecasting the industry. Business challenges, you know, this really helps with opportunities when you are, you know, and understanding your clients' needs or customers or even job seekers or entrepreneurs, just understanding what the industry challenges currently are facing, the trends, industry opportunities. Executive Insight is a neat tab as well, which will give you insight from CEOs, chief financial officers, and give you their insight and their intel on what's going on in the industry. You also have financial information that will help give a synopsis of, and I can click on here too, of the company benchmark trends. And it will break it down to the smaller medical laboratory industry, the medium-sized ones and the large ones. And we'll go into the liabilities and so forth of the financial information. Here you're going to find the call prep questions. And this is one tool that I personally am a huge fan of. And they're great conversation starters, right? So if you're going to, even for a job interview or going to meet with a prospect client, or you just want to know what type of questions this industry, you know, is posing. These questions, not only do they have questions, but they also give you a really high level of what type of answers you can anticipate. So you can do further digging into the topic and so forth. It will go into the quarterly industry update, operations, products, and facilities. So really breaking it down into sections and asking questions within each section, which I found, I mean, they get into the pricing, marketing, competition. Here, and then obviously you're going to have access to the websites and acronyms that just help you if you're learning about an industry that you're not familiar with. This here is also an archive profile. So because this industry view, you know, is real time and is updated either in real time data, quarterly, annually, depending on the sections that are available here on the left, you can go back all the way to 2004 and pull up, you know, the industry profile and what it looked like in each section all the way back to, I just mentioned that, 2004. So that is very helpful. So if you want to know how the industry changed, what type of insight or intel the executives had, it's a great way for you to, you know, pull that up just from, you know, selecting the date, the appropriate date. Other than that, I mean, here I'll highlight, you know, there's tabs here on the top. You know, it really speaks for itself. It's a very intuitive, user-friendly platform. You know, this you're going to find where you're going to prospect. For more prospecting, this is more for your international clients. Here you'll find, if you click on this I find interesting. So if we click on, for example, Wisconsin, this will just give you a regional overview of, and a big picture of the state profile. So you can go in and look at the state job growth, employment data, and local real estate summary. So it's truly a one-stop shop for patrons, business owners, startups, students, I mean, bankers, market leaders, to truly give this platform to users to help empower them to, you know, access this data to become better individuals. And then that is all that I have, Jeff. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I'm going to pass it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Rolla. I haven't seen any questions come into the Q&A and chat, but that's another what I think is another really great example of taking what can be overwhelming or confusing data and putting it in a format and an access method that seems like it's going to be really useful. And I can only imagine that as we start looking forward to trying to rebuild some of the economic, outfall from what's going on right now, that this kind of tool might be really valuable to becoming entrepreneurs or people that are looking for a change in their own employment or their own kind of industry where they're working. So I can see the utility of this kind of resource at any time, but certainly as we move forward from where we are today. Thanks a lot, Rolla, for sharing that with us today.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So let me pop our title up one more time. So our next presenter today for Taco Tuesday is going to be Pam Sessoms. She's joining us from Library Help. She will be talking to us a little bit about their platform, which I think this is really timely because we have an opportunity to learn about some library chat resources, and I think that that's something that our members and all kinds of libraries need to be thinking about and are already thinking about as they try to provide services in a more remote and physically disconnected way. So I will go ahead and stop my screen share. That'll empower Pam to share hers. If you have any trouble figuring out how to do that, let me know, Pam.
Okay, thanks. Can you hear my audio now?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, good. So I have this complicated 3-monitor setup. I'm trying to figure out which one it is that I actually want to share. Okay, there we go. Can you see my screen?
We can. Thank you so much.
Oh, great. Okay, well, holler if anything seems to go awry. I'm terrible about watching for chat during meetings. So anyway, I'm just going to give you a short overview of the various library help modules. The platform started with chat, and that is still kind of our flagship. That's what brings us the most attention. We have some other really nice modules as well, though. Texting is available. Texting lets your patrons text the library. The librarians receive those texts as chats, and when the librarian replies back through chat, it goes out to the patron as text. So it's very, very simple for everybody to use. We have our 3Mail module, which is an email reference platform. And we have a FAQ or FAQ module, which is a searchable knowledge base. And I'm not going to talk about chat staff today, but just know that there is professional staffing available on the Library Help platform. It's available on flexible schedules all the way up to 24/7, 365 if you want that. And there is, there's nice rollover so that your locals get first dibs if you have chat staff. So I thought it might be interesting to look at some customer examples because Library Help can be implemented pretty flexibly. So all of these chat examples are from customers that have started since the coronavirus crisis began. So just to give you an idea of how people have implemented it recently. So here is Park Ridge. And their chat is offline right now. So one thing that Library Help does is it gives you a fully customizable online versus offline appearance. So they're offline. They invite you to click here to contact them in other ways. And they actually have their chat online here on this page. That's interesting. So this is a Library Help chat box. It's just very simple. And notice that there's no barriers for the patron to begin the chat. I'm just going to blast through these kind of quickly, I think. There's another one. They have their chat down here on this kind of bottom right corner in this tab so that it can be kind of out of the way and on all of their web pages. When you click it, you get this little standalone chat that lets you kind of carry on your chat and do your research at the same time, which is very good. And this type of implementation works really well for mobile patrons in particular because this standalone chat screen fills up the whole device really, really nicely. For smartphones works great. Stratford here, they have a nice, simple embedded chat box right here on their web page. City of Portsmouth. They have these chat bubbles down in the bottom right. And again, that stays consistently in place as you navigate on their site. You click, you get the standalone chat box. Yeshiva, they have a little consistent chat link in their kind of their header area, so it's easy to find. That kind of consistent navigation really helps with patrons when they're stuck. And U Texas, this is a writing center, and this website is it's clearly been designed for mobile users. So you just kind of scroll down on a desktop, and here's their big old chat box. So that completes our little chat tour. Oh yeah, here's NYU, who is not new. They're a long-term library help customer. But I wanted to show you their lovely customized chat integration here. They have a tab that raises and lowers. And it's also integrated really nicely into their Primo instance. Right now my computer is being slow resolving their Primo instance. Oh, come on, Bobcat. Well, trust me, it's lovely. It's the tab. It's in there. There it goes. There it is. So they've done a good job at keeping the chat, again, really consistent throughout all of their various websites, the catalog, the discovery layer, the website proper, all of those places. So that's a lot of chat examples, but you kind of get an idea that it can be implemented all kinds of different ways. The FAQ module is the searchable knowledge base, and this is a new customer. If you sign up for a trial, we go ahead and design you an FAQ site to match your regular library site, so you can kind of concentrate on the content in your FAQ as opposed to worrying about CSS templates quite so much. So this one, they've got their coronavirus information right up there front and center. You can click on these, of course, to get the more full details. And they are searchable. Search works really well, so you can start typing COVID, and you would see as drop-down suggestions anything that had that match in there. So this is about overdue fees and lack thereof during this time. Again, the FAQ is very flexible in its appearance. Here's a couple of longer term ones, UMKC. So this one isn't terribly customized. This portion down here and this part up here is very much out of the box. They've got their nice header on there and the big splashy coronavirus info. Yukons, nice and sleek. And finally, Louisville. Louisville's is very minimalistic. They don't show the answer previews on their main screen for browsing. And then their tag cloud is just nice and neat and alphabetical. So I really like this one. It's so clean. Okay, moving ahead. This is just screenshots of a Wisconsin library. I thought that was neat. Showing how they have implemented chat. So over here on the right, this is how it looks when their chat service is online. You can see the red chat bubbles. And here is how it looks when it's offline. It says chat is offline, email us with an envelope in the same location. And they've been doing a really nice job of advertising their new chat service on their kind of their little carousel display on the main library page. So that was all the guests, the patron side. The librarian side, we have a nice web-based client for staffing the chat service. Here's a couple of screenshots showing some of the customizations that are available. So this is 2 screenshots side by side. This one here on the left just has a little bit more white space. Some people really like that. They find it kind of relaxing. These are 2 chats that are going on right now. All of the action buttons like transfer and send file and those things. There's group chat for staff down at the bottom. That's optional. And on the right-hand side is the same exact setup. So 2 chats, the same chats even, just with a more compact display so that you can get more text on the screen at one time. So you can see these are just simple lines of text as opposed to over here where you have kind of the speech bubble layout. And this is a screenshot of another layout option. This one has the compact view, but the chats are in separate little windows that you can drag around the screen and stack on top of each other and just move all willy-nilly to your heart's content. The web client is really nice. It's got good customizations on sound alerts and desktop alerts and all kinds of things. So texting is an optional add-on. It's very inexpensive. There's not a lot of markup on it. Most of our customers get through a full year on $50 of texting balance. Some of them go, over that, of course. It's usage based. I already outlined earlier how it works, but the guests just text in from their phone. The librarians receive them as chats, and they can tell that they're texts. They get a little character countdown to help them keep their responses relatively short. And if you don't have 24/7 staffing, it has very good offline message handling. So the guest will receive a little auto reply if you're offline on the texting service, just to tell them that you're going to reply when you're next available. And that can have a link to your hours if you want to do something like that. 3Mail is our simple shared mailbox system. This is really ideal if you have more than one person that needs to cover, patron emails at a time, because they can collaborate, they can see each other's answers, and answers are not siloed in any individual's mailbox. So it's truly for sharing. Has too many nice features to get into. We use 3Mail for all of our library help support, message templates and signatures and replies and tags and all sorts of great things. So let me just show you, I think I've got some screenshots in here. This is our support box. You can see here's a message tagged for Pam, that's me, about Taco Tuesday. Here's one that's tagged for my colleague Amy. Here's some support about buddy groups for me. So, it's just a nice, simple, sleek email reference system. Here's a screenshot of inserting a template. A template is used when you have a question that tends to come up recurringly and you don't want to have to compose it or search for one that you already sent. You can just make a little template and then customize it as needed for the current situation to save yourself a lot of work and typing. And here is inserting a message template. This template is about our Ask a Librarian app, which is a free app that anybody can use. And I think that's it. I tried to leave a little bit of time for questions in case there are any. So go ahead and let me know.
Thanks so much, Pam. I've been keeping an eye on the question box just in case any came in while you were presenting, and we haven't had any yet, but we will, if I get any after the session, of course, I'll touch base with you. Yeah, Library Help is another, of course, of Will's vendor partners, so we're excited to get the word out a little bit about all the amazing things you have to offer. And in fact, I have to admit, I didn't know some of the newer things features that you've been adding. So that's really cool to get a little bit more information about that. Just an interest, just a question. Have you seen or been getting more inquiries or interest since so many libraries have had to close their doors and offer services remotely? Have you seen an uptick in that kind of stuff?
We have. It's had a really enormous impact on our day-to-day workflows. I think we're up to about 275 new trials since the start of this. whole
Wow.
situation. So
Yeah.
but we've been doing a lot of customer support with onboarding new libraries really rapidly. A lot of our current customers that we've had for years have been really expanding their services, even to other departments on campus, lots of writing centers and even IT help desks, that kind of stuff, giving library help a trial.
Oh, wow. That's not something I had even considered, but that's a really great
Yeah, so
use
we have a
case.
super generous trial program. It's 3 months for free with no feature limitations. So yeah, so we've been getting a lot of people taking advantage of that, and a lot of them are converting into subscriptions. So that's been nice for us too.
That's great. It's really great to hear. And I can say I do know that the pricing is very reasonable in and of itself. So of course, I always want to promote all of our vendor partners, but Library Help is one that I know they've got a great product and a really great price. So for all of you who are in the session now or watching the recording, please feel free to reach out to me or to Pam or to Sarah Gold at Wills, and we can talk about what we can do to get you set up with one of those, as Pam said, super generous trial periods to really take the thing out for a test drive on your own. Thanks again, Pam, so much for joining us and for giving us your time today.
You are very welcome. Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we're always happy to have you and all of our Taco Tuesday participating vendors here. So today we only have 3 though, so we're going to be wrapping up today's session a few minutes earlier than usual. But I think it's the kind of day and it's been the kind of month that getting 15 minutes back in your schedule maybe is something folks will appreciate. So thank you all so much for attending. Thank you again to all of our speakers. And I will close today's session by reminding you that this is a monthly feature. Normally on the odd numbered months like May, we would have been doing a potluck edition for members to talk more to each other. But we knew we wanted to put a little bit of normalcy back in everybody's life. So we decided to bring a more regular vendor-driven Taco Tuesday, and we'll be doing that again next month, getting back to our odds and evens patterns. So our next Taco Tuesday will be June 2nd at 11:30. Keep your eyes out for, or your eyes open for announcements about who will be joining us to give you more insights into what our vendor partners have to offer. So that's all for today. Thanks everyone for attending. I hope everyone is well and healthy and continues to be well and healthy, and have a great rest of the day. Bye now.